Welcome back. We've just had an interesting conversation about faith and money, and Juang is telling me that tulikuwa tunaongelea tithe. No, Juang, we were not talking about tithe, but either way, thank you so much for making time for us this morning. Robert also, thank you so much for making time for us this morning. So to our viewers back at home, what you're about to discuss right now is the newspaper review, and this is specifically the state of our nation. Today we are having two newspapers. We have the Bold newspaper. We also have the Daily Nation. But before we get into talking about what is in these newspapers, I want to read you briefly the headlines of different newspapers, the Kenyan newspapers. The Daily Nation says Trump aid freeze triggers HIV crisis. That is the story given prominence on the Daily Nation. Standard has given prominence on matters politics and governance, saying keep off politics, and this is a message to the CSS who have in recent days been involved in political affairs, that is in campaigns of the country. Taifa Leo says Biya Rais Mkongwe Zaidi, that is the Cameroonian president Paul Biya, who is apparently re-elected. That is despite all the protests that have been witnessed in the country. Some saying that how could he win, yet he did not campaign, yet he was never seen in public. So that is Taifa Leo, given prominence on an international story, also in Simamo Wao, and that is on the endorsement of acting party leader Oburu Odinga to lead the party. We have the Star saying Raila succession, who will be next king of Nyanza. That is on matters politics. That story cuts across all newspapers. It's on the Standard, it's on the Daily Nation. I'm seeing it on the Star. It's also on the Taifa Leo, and that is on ODM politics. We have the Standard, the People Daily, still on matters ODM after Raila Kanduto's Nyanza move rewrite Kenya's 2027 politics. So trust you me that today we are going to be talking more about politics, and that is on matters ODM 2027 elections, on matters broad-based government, and of course corruption kidogo here and there. So that is on the newspaper review. Kindly allow the guests introduce themselves. Musikie hata sauti zao. Let me begin from my immediate.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting us in your studio, KUTV. My good names are Mr. Robert Makoha Wangoho. For those we are interacting with for the first time, I'm the President Bunge la Mwananchi from the County of Nakuru. Also the new generation aspirant coordinator Rift Valley NGA. And finally, Robert Makoha Wangoho is also a member of parliament, hopeful, come the year 2027 in Nakuru Town West constituency. Yeah,
karibu sana. Unakaa karibu na mbunge mwenzako.
Hata nimesikia nikiwa so glad. Thank you so much, Sylvia. It's a very beautiful morning from where I'm coming from. Najua kwetu kuna waga na mashida always, but it's a beautiful morning and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that you've given me a chance to meet another Luya friend, Wangoho, because I know from 2027, kama Mungu atatujalia tujipate kwa bunge, then I have a friend that can be calling we kuja na Ingoho leo bungeni. Kuna mswada fulani hapa hivi, if ODM inasema itaweka Ruto ndani, kuna mswada hapa hivi, lazima tuupinge. Because there is one thing that is happening this morning. My name is Ojwang, mtoto wa Mariam, Senior Warrant Officer 1, Lieutenant Kanali. Kwa community wananiita Mkenya akenya nae, lakini ukenya wake usiukenye kenye. Because I'm a communications expert, community leader, marketing specialist, and peace, inclusivity and sustainability advocate from Upper Roysambu, born and bred in Majengo, Nyeri. So my heart this morning is bleeding for a country called Tanzania, our sister country that is going into elections tomorrow, same day that the Gen Zs of that country are going to protest, same day that others are saying they will be pitching camps in all polling stations to ensure that it is a free and fair election. Why is my heart bleeding? It is because we are having three factions in that country protesting tomorrow under Mama It is so shameful that Mama first took power that was transitioned through their constitution. Hapa hivi kuna kitu naitwa peaceful transition of power. That is where Mama came. Mama was supposed to uphold that. But as she's going tomorrow for an election, the biggest opposition leader, Tundu Lissu, is still in prison. 2 weeks from tomorrow, he will be waiting verdict ya treason. Now, sisi wenye wale tunawaita dada zetu, nchi yetu iko wapi? Because it matters to us. In this country, we have a jamii that we call Makonde. Jamii ya wa Makonde walikuja kutoka Tanzania. Tanzania has been experiencing post-elections violence. 2015, 2020, now we don't know what will happen in 2025. Zanzibar si kuzuri. Kwa nini? Wanasema mama ambaye anatoka Zanzibar anataka kutawala kwa mabavu watu ambao wanatoka Tanganyika, ambao wanasema ndio wengi. We, as the people of Africa, need to speak about whatever that is happening in Tanzania so that the world can at least stop and help us put together a nation that is ours, East Africa. Asante.
Thank you so much, Ojwang. Quite an introduction. But then we are still, now that you brought out the matter of international relations, we have two activists who are missing in the country, and apparently, allegedly, they're being held by the Ugandan government. And we've received consistent reaction or consistent feedback from the government, and that is specifically the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and that response is silence. So in as much as we are saying we are not safe as East Africa, we've had several human activists in Tanzania who wengine walirudishwa Kenya, you know, and we've had several arrests, and Mama is believed to be ruling na is it mabavu ama ubavu?
Tuseme kimabavu, because if we say kifua and it is Mama, some could be disrespectful.
Kiswahili kidogo si
if it
mdogo.
Could be Ruto, we could say another.
But we are seeing a trend, especially in East Africa, where our leaders are apparently leading with force. I don't know if that is the right term to use, but we've seen Uganda, tumeona wako na Uganda, we've seen them having their leader who apparently leads in dictatorship. We've had Kenya, we've had several cases of abductions and everything in between. We've had Tanzania, where right now they're saying that he's like running a one-person race. And nimesikia jenzi wamesema watakuwa wanaenda maandamano in shifts. Kuna wa mchana na kuna wa jioni.
Kuna wa kulinda kura, kuna wa kwenda kwa barabara, kuna wa kukataa.
All right, so Robert, from where you sit, do you think the future of East Africa and the sovereignty of each country is safe as far as we are right now?
I may say that it is safe, and it is also not safe. From where I stand or where I sit, from what has actually been going on, perpetration from the leaders whom were entrusted to give positions, but in the process, they are trying to lead us. You realize that they have been exposed in so many vices, including some going besides what they promised the people during their massive campaigns. So that is an indicator that as a nation, as a community, East Africa, we are not headed towards the right direction, because the moment you hear, for example, an elected leader into the office supporting or sponsoring draconian bills that are meant to bring the progress of a common man and woman like you down, then that is the genesis of all the problems. That is a point that I can use to illustrate that actually we are not safe as the people residing from within East Africa. But at the same time, I can also vehemently stand and say that we are going to be safe. It is not a matter of if, but actually it is a matter of when. When you are introducing us, you have mentioned something to do with the Gen Z revolutions across East Africa. And even the countries that we have so far seen, countries of the caliber of Denmark and Nepal, where we have seen the young people coming out in large numbers to demonstrate their anger to the leaders who have actually failed to honor their promises. You are telling me about how Ugandan agencies are planning to carry out the demos, protect the vote in bits. I mean, in
Tanzania.
Yeah, in Tanzania. You see, here in Kenya, we have already seen what happened when the heinous financial bill of the year 2023-2024 was passed by force. It compelled the president to call a press so that he could withdraw the same and throw it away. So that one informs us that in as much as we are suffering, our suffering is also going to come to an end because of the measures that young people are putting in place. Now, the day before, a day to the burial of Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, you had the opposition leader by the name H from Tanzania. After he had been instructed by his boss, Chadema presidential aspirant, Mr. Tundu Lissu, that you must ensure that you people, you have gone to Bondo to bury our friend who is Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, the father of democracy. Later in the day, we saw the deputy party leader of that party in Tanzania being held at the Hispania, or at the border, a police station. Why? It was speculated that it was an order from above. Above, I mean from Mama Samia Suluhu, barring this leader from crossing the border and going to bury their friend. But what happened minutes later, after Kenyan Gen Zs heard that opposition leader from Tanzania was being held, what followed was that they crossed the border. They ensured that they had rescued that man. They crossed the border with him to ensure that they are going to allow him attend the burial for their friend Raila Amolo Odinga. So not only Gen Zs from now within our country, you see, from what we saw on that particular day, time has come. Even the neighbors, there is the family, the foreign relation among the young people, whose intention is actually simple, to ensure that they have good leadership. And we also have the Tanzanian musicians who are also coming out to sing songs that condemn the poor leadership. We have Nay wa Mitego, we have Roma Mkatoliki and others. So all those are signs that we are safe in a near future as East African community.
But is this really sustainable? Because if we look at the current measures in the country, we've had most influencers silenced by abductions and all that. We've had several bills that are passed to law, like the cyber security law, that apparently now grants the government authority to go through your calls and all that, your data. Is this sustainable, or is this safe? How long can the young people keep going to the streets for them to see change? Are there other alternatives that can be used that are more sustainable?
Okay, I believe this one, before we look for other alternatives, this one itself is more sustainable, because I believe that even for us to have the Gen Z revolution last year, the year 2024, nobody had ever expected that. But after that revolution came, people are now convinced that everything is possible, and especially the youth like myself. We have been fighting day and night to ensure that we put Kenya on a better place on the Kenyan map. So that is to say, you may kill the messenger, but of course the message will remain. Giving difficult time to those people coming out in broad daylight to fight for the livelihoods of Kenyans is just an indicator that there is too much heat in the kitchen. It means that the government is a coward. The government has been pressed in the corner, and that is to say that it has no alternative but to use dubious means to scare the demonstrators and those people who are coming out publicly to show a lack of faith in the same government that they entrusted. So before we think of other measures which we can actually put in place to ensure that we can be heard, in Kenya, I believe that it is only the hard way, the demonstrations, the protests, that they can easily understand that language. Even during the reign of Raila Amolo Odinga as the opposition leader of the country called Kenya, you realize that the governments of Uhuru Kenyatta, the governments of Ruto now, the easiest language that these people can understand for them to act, it is only the language of destruction. I'm one person who believes that destruction is a bad vice in our society, Kenya. But sometimes, if it has to be applied before the government comes out of the blanket to act, then so be it. Because we have seen in the recent past when we were having demonstrations in our country, Kenya, the moment the youth go out, they loot supermarkets, they destroy buildings, they try to uproot the rail and even the barriers on the super highways. It is when the government, through the president or the concerned minister, comes out to call a presser, then they say, you young people, we can actually have a sitting so that we can address this issue. You see, but they keep on testing the waters until it gets serious. So that is to say, we are in to fight up to the end to ensure that Kenya has come to a better place. And silencing one of us only gives the rest anger to come out in large numbers so that they can complete the mission that has been started by one person.
All right. Ojwang, is this sustainable? Because we've seen it in different countries and destruction. And, you know, the worst thing for a country to get into is a coup. And even if these protests happen and these demonstrations happen, most of the time the people who benefit are the political elite, those who have been in politics for a long time, or those people who know one or two people. Most of the time you get that that thing may be itatulia. Then after some time, you know, there is no coincidence in politics. Something happens, you forget about the real issues, and then as you focus on this, that thing still passes. So is this really sustainable?
Yes, it is sustainable. One, because dreams don't die. Only dreamers do. When Kenya was around 15 years, 1978, we lose a father, Jomo Kenyatta. There comes another person who is younger than him, Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. And he says, I will follow nyayo. Nitafuata nyayo za mzee. Meaning, whatever dreams that the Kenya's first president had of this country, to fight ugonjwa, to fight umaskini, to fight ujinga, I will continue to do that. Na akatuletea kitu aliita nyayo philosophy. When Nyayo was not able to hold this nation together politically, the elites of this country now, akina Mwai Kibaki, Raila Amolo Odinga, they came together and they said we have to do away with KANU regime in 2002. Those were dreams of other people now being actualized by these young Kenyans at the time. Some of these people included Raila's own father, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, who had died in 1994 without being able to capture power, but still championing for democracy, championing for the rights of these people of Kenya to be met. These dreams have kept us alive today. These dreams, we have studied them to a point in 2010. We are having our own constitution. Not many African countries do have their constitutions. They still use the constitution of their colonizers. So, when the father of democracy was being buried back in Opoda, the funeral service in Opoda farm before going to be buried in Kangoka Jaramogi, the fourth president of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta, said that for us to ensure that we honor Baba, we have to ensure that his dreams don't die. It had already been proven that with or without the physical Baba, the Kenyans of this country are ready to take over. That is why, after the controversial Finance Bill 2024, the parliament went down. Since then, I will tell you, whatever we have in this country is just a shell of building, and people who have refused to go back to seek legitimacy because we don't have a parliament. Now, Baba has gone. We don't look like we are tired. We look like we have started. And I'm not talking about me or Joang Mariam. I'm talking about everyone in this country. ODM had to call a crisis meeting yesterday on 27th of October, Monday, just to tell the country that whoever is acting in faith. They've not said that he's the new party leader. They're just saying he's acting party leader. And then they are sending these members to go and ensure that they are counter-attacking politics of division or divisive politics within the party. How? When you are still acting, at least say you are now the party leader. Ndo watu wakijua hiki chama kina kiongozi. Lakini kama bado ana act, it means the young turks of the party still have a chance to go for whatever people like Dr. Oburu Odinga are saying we should not be talking about. The party leadership, to fill the vacuum that was left by Raila Amolo Odinga. I'll tell you something, that since the youths want to see this sustainable, championing democracy sustainable, winning economic war sustainably, ODM will not give us the next kingpin of Luo Nyanza. Mark my words. Because ODM will die. But will the people of Luo Nyanza die? No. Will them having an urge to have a leader die? No. Around 1995, when Raila Amolo Odinga resigned from Ford Kenya, he went to a minor party, NDP, a very minor party, and went to the people of Langata to seek for the same seat yenye ali resigned from. Until we have leaders with such guts, ODM will not stand strong. Those people who are in ODM, they are still trying to cling on Baba's coat. But for sustainability, we need to unite all of us. Look at whatever is happening in Cameroon. Even if after President Biya, who is 92 years old, has won his 8th term, the youths, as recorded in page 26 of Daily Nation, they are sparking riots. Back here in the country, matters that are not political, youths in science and innovation are crafting ways to ensure that they are solving their own problems so that the East or the West don't control them, like Trump aid freezing, HIV trigger crisis. One day, one time, the youths of this country will be able to find maybe their own vaccine and maybe to have a cure. In other countries, don't rely on USAID. It is an African problem. India have managed to have their own medicine. China have managed to have their own medicine. Those brains there are still the brains that we have here. There is no race that is superior than the other in this world. But if they would want to talk about superiority complex, then we the Africans are the brightest in the world. So one day, one time, tutakuwa tunaweza kujisolvia shida zetu. We don't rely on politicians. We don't rely on foreign interaction. We rely on ourselves. That time when it comes, tutakuwa tunaacha kupanda mbegu za GMO. Tutarudi kuhakikisha kwamba mbegu zetu zile unaweza vuna and then uweke portion upande next time. Itatusaidia sana. It is happening in other African countries.
I think we are far past beyond state ya kurudi kwa Nyamula. If you know Nyamula, we are far past that state because everyone is now buying seeds for better production on Juang. We need food sustainability. I beg to differ on that.
GMO? But then, you plant once.
I said food sustainability.
Good. We need food sustainability. That's why we need to ensure that the seeds that we were taught, zile za kitambo that you can spare, wachana na hii unakuja unapanda once. Hapana, haikupei sustainability yenye unapanda once. You need kitu hata unaweza vuna uweke. Na huo msimu mwingine ukikuja mbegu zako zikuwe ziliharibika pale shambani, utapanda nini mama?
Right, now let's shift a little bit to matters politics. I'm seeing stories of ODM dominating several pages. We have the Star, we have the Daily Nation, wanasema ODM moves to preempt post-Raila power food. we have the Star saying Raila succession, who will be next king of Nyanza. And we also have the People Daily saying after Raila and Ruto's Nyanza move rewrite Kenya's 2027 politics. Now, we can't go without talking about the ODM party because it is among the huge parties in the country. Right now we are having mshike. We have kuna wale the political elite, wale wazee, and we have the younger ones, kina likes of Babu Owino and Sifuna. So we have the party divided in terms of ideologies, what they believe in. This other faction says to skize ground, this other faction saying to skize baba. Okay. This other this other faction saying that, you know, we have a memorandum of understanding with the government. Now, do you see, let me begin with you. Do you foresee a situation where a division? They say that the media, we are feeling division in the ODM, but I'm not trying to feel division. But do you see a future where the differences in ideologies of the party may lead to division of the Nyanza region probably, and also Ruto gaining more confidence and more votes from the Nyanza region, and this strengthening his base? Because at the moment, if you ask, yesterday I was talking to my brother and he was telling me, mimi kura yangu Ruto anapata asubuhi na mapema. Reason being, ati nimechoka kuweka kura mahali penye inapotea. I better vote for someone I know is winning. So in some ways, the nation has already shifted their mind from one-term narrative, and they're like, you know, there is no suitable competitor for President William Ruto. Do you think this division in the ODM party, or alleged division in the ODM party, is going to be an advantage to President William Ruto come 2027?
Okay, there is already division in ODM. That one can be ascertained through these people who are speaking on media, the likes of Edwin Sifuna. Edwin Sifuna from the word go has reiterated on how he's not going to be forced by anyone to support President William Samoei Ruto in his administration, and also as the capable, or rather the potential candidate for 2027 presidential contest. Is not saying it after Raila has died. Edwin Sifuna has been firm. Even the time Raila Amolo Odinga was alive, there was a time they were attending a funeral in Nyakach. Still before his boss, his student said that him as an individual, there is no way he's going to see Kenyans who are being oppressed under the leadership of William Samoei Ruto. They are crying, they have no medicine in hospitals, and still say that he's in ODM and he's supporting William Samoei Ruto. So about President William Samoei Ruto banking on Nyanza region, especially ODM supporters, that is a true lie. That one will only happen if William Samoei, Luo Nyanza people were holding hands with Kikuyu community or the people from the mountain, because when I talk about the mountain, it is not specifically the Kikuyu community alone. We have the Embu, the Meru, name them. So it will be so difficult for William Samoei Ruto to take charge of Luo Nyanza just because they were in an agreement with the late Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. And even Raila Amolo Odinga, in his days when he was still alive and kicking, he also said that the agreement were not to go beyond 2027. And to me, I understood that even before 2027, that is where the agreement to work together as a broad-based government will reach, so that in the year 2027, ODM as a party and Raila as the ODM party leader and Sifuna as the Secretary General of ODM party, they were to come up with a capable candidate that will face William Samoei Ruto at the ballot. So I mentioned something to do with Ruto not managing to capture the Luo Nyanza votes, because Luo Nyanza is not directly holding hands with the mountain region. Why? Because when we go as per the history of our Republic of Kenya, when Luos hold hands with the Kikuyus or the people from the mountain, we have seen a significance. And let me not mention Kikuyus and Luos, because I'm not tribal anyway. Let me talk of the people from Nyanza region. And you also have to understand that Nyanza is also big. We have the Kisi, the Gusi community. It is also part of Nyanza. And I already told you that when we talk about mountain or Mount Kenya, we have people even from Aembo and Meru. So the only way Ruto will have managed to use the Luo Nyanza votes for his own gain will be by or when the Luo Nyanza people were holding hands with the mountain people. Because historically we have seen that one happen and it has borne fruits. Quickly, when we trace the history, in 1963, when Kenya attained independence, when you read books of history, you realize that people from Luo Nyanza region held hands with the people from the mountain region. And actually, we saw independence. And even if today someone mentions to you the Kapenguria 6, you realize that we have names like Ocheng Onego, we have names like Bildad Kagia, we have names like Dedan, Kimadi, and all that. These people played a very crucial role in ensuring that they overpowered the British rule and finally Kenya attained independence. That is one. There was also another instance in the year 1992 during multipartyism period. You realize that we used to have only one political party in Kenya, chama ya baba na mama, and no one will talk ill against it. So in the year 1992, you realize that Luos from Luo Nyanza and Kikuyus also came together. I'm talking about people like Raila Amolo Odinga. I'm talking about people like Koigi Wamwere. I'm talking about people like Kenneth Matiba from Ranga. So these people came together and they really gave hard time to the incumbent president by that time, Daniel Toroitich, Arap Moi, and through them we had the multipartyism whereby today, if I'm not wrong, Kenya enjoys up to around 122 political parties, whereby you and me today, if we show interest, we can vie on a given political party which is not KANU, which is not ODM, which is not PNU, which is not Jubilee, which is not UDA. As long as that party meets the guidelines of the Registrar of Political Parties Office, the ORPP, I'm good to go with that political party. So, in 1992, through those leaders that I've mentioned to you, it was easier for Kenya to bring that cause whereby you are allowed to form political parties, many of them. As I finish, also in the year 2010, when there was the promulgation of the Kenyan Constitution, you realize that someone like the incumbent President William Samoei Ruto, he was in the opposition side of the struggle during the 2010 Constitution draft. And you realize that it was Raila Amolo Odinga who was on the other side with the President Mwai Kibaki during the Chungwa and Ndizi movement. So that one led into the new Constitution of Kenya, and finally the removal of Moi from office was because Kikuyus held hands with the Luos. So that will be the only way William Samoei Ruto will have banked on the division of ODM and especially the Luo Nyanza region to advocate and spearhead his political career beyond 2027. But for me, where I stand, I believe that in 2027, it will be to the advantage of the young thugs of the caliber of Babu Owino, Edwin Sifuna, because the kind of political outfit or formation or alignment that they are going to come up with, so many youths will register in large numbers. And even recently, I heard one of the former nominated Senator Gloria Oroba saying that From her own point of view, Babu Owino was late. Should Babu Owino today come up with a political outfit, not only Luos, but Kenyans who love his leadership from all over the country will join that political party in the speed 2 times like the one we saw DCP grow. Immediately it was registered by Honorable Rigathi Gachagua.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, Ojwang, muda wetu unakimbia.
Ndo nimeuona.
All right. Now, I just want to give you to give us your sentiments on this story where cabinet secretaries are told to keep off politics. And this we have Musalia Mudavadi, Prime CS, Interior CS, Health CS, and Inspector General of Police. They have been engaging in politics. What do you think about this and service delivery to Kenyans when administrative positions are used to power, basically misuse of power or performing duties that are not under your mandate?
It is sad, but we are a country that has been doing so well in politics and so bad in economy. Up to that point, tuko pamoja. Because by-elections in India, 27th November, and they are out there using our resources to campaign while we still cry behind the scene. Mm-hmm. Such cries are the things that will unite the question that you've asked him, the Luo Nyanza. Such cries. The Luo Nyanza has been a community that has been marginalized for long, but there are so many. There are people who love each other to a point. They are always ready to back down to support someone else. Mm-hmm. That is a very good thing for us in future. In this future, I'm talking about 2027, which is just around a year away. Because hiyo ingine yote itakuwa time ya campaign. After 1997 general elections, the Luo Nyanza was divided worse than today. Because their kingpin was Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, who had died in 1994. Then, at an election of Ford Kenya in Thika, Michael Kijana Wamalwa won against Baba then. And that meant that if tunapima na nguvu, Waluya wako juu ya Waluo. But in 202 general elections, Governor Orengo, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o were not together with Baba. Everyone was campaigning kivyake. There was even Dalmas Otieno. But this man who had come with a small party NDP had to be supported. Juu alikuwa shaonyeshana nguvu. Nguvu ya Mluo haiko ndani ya chungwa. Kwa sababu hili chungwa hata sio la Mluo. It was a person from Mount Kenya, a lawyer, who had created or who had registered ODM in 2005. And when ODM was having a pentagon, it also had people like Kalonzo Musyoka in it. Na wakaachana, wakakatika, ikakuwa kuna ODM na ODM Kenya. So leo hii hata ODM ikiisha, haimaanishi that jamii ya Waluo inakosa kingpin. Amepeana kitu ambacho naweza tabiri. Yule ambaye ataweza kuform chama chake kutoka kwa jamii ya Waluo, huyo ndio atakuwa kingpin.
Right. Now, muda wetu umeyoyoma.
Asante.
These days I'm trying with Kiswahili. I'd wish for us to continue, but time is really not on our side. I hope we can do this some other time. But for today, it's a wrap from us. I hope we can have you again.
Nakuru sio mbali. Si amesema tutakuwa bunge.
And you keep time because we are late because of you. Lucky. So that marks the end of our newspaper review this morning. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time for us. And for our viewers back at home, thank you so much for always keeping it KUTV Rise to